name is Chubby.
And I'm Vanessa, and welcome to No
No
Filters,
filters,
No
no
Fears
fears
podcast.
podcast. Today's a level 4. Totally forgot. I'm like,
I
today's
want to say,
a
is it a four? It could be a three. I feel like I have an argument for why it's a four
That's perfectly fine.
because I feel that a lot of people have an issue accepting platonic relationships as being important or on the same level as a romantic relationship. It gives them a lot of religious issues. It gives them a lot of it's just issues.
Let's read the definition of what it claims that platonic relationship is, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Yeah, go for it.
This is one of the many that I found.
Okay.
So this was as having platonic love and friendship with someone simply means a healthy and deep friendship with no sexual desires attached. People who are in platonic relationships may share a very close bond, but there is no physical sexual attraction between them. I read one that said that you could have a platonic relationship. There might be some attraction, but it's not being,
Right. And I think that so just like anything else, right? Varying levels.
right.
You may be attracted to the friend, but that doesn't mean you're going to act on it, right?
Exactly,
The
yes.
friendship holds more
More,
space for you than the attraction. Um, there, I don't know. There's people that do have physical um engagement. Is that what you would call it?
yeah.
But there's no romantic relationship. Like there's no
Right.
investment, right? But there is
Emotionally,
very
yeah.
much a strong friendship that doesn't always have to be sexual, but they may have moments where it's like, yeah, and they do a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I also feel like it depends on the friendship. Everybody has their own friendships and how it is to them. That's an agreement between the two people, and
And
that's
just
nice.
and just like anything else, identifiers, right? Identifiers mean to you what they mean to you,
Exactly.
right? So making something descriptive versus prescriptive, right? So that it describes what between those people is the situation versus assigning what that relationship is.
Right. It's not gonna look the same to everybody, and you can't expect it.
Yeah.
Anybody has platonic love out there? If you want to share how long or how it is.
Yeah.
Well, well,
I
we
was
both
just
have
saying
ours.
before we went live, I was like, platonic love better than romantic love all day.
And I always believe that because love will come and go, but platonic love and friendship has always stayed, and it has tested time. Like
I
my
mean,
best friend and I.
granted, there are platonic loves that have their own
eh,
fizzling. There's breakups in platonic love as well. But for the most part, they do tend to last longer. It's so funny because we do this to ourselves. We could totally handle romantic relationships similarly, which I kind of do because I have to be friends with my partner. I can't just be like, right?
Right.
Um, where was I going with the choo choo? I lost my choo choo. Of like, we do to ourselves of placing that pressure of commitment, the pressure of
Right.
having to move at a certain pace in a romantic relationship. You don't have that in a platonic relationship. Okay, we've been friends this many years. I got to give them a ring now. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So because there isn't those commitments, they tend to last longer. The fights are different. And at the end of the day, you bitch each other out, but you come back around to it. In a romantic relationship, you bitch each other out. You disrespected me. I want a divorce. That's it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, but we prescribe that. We prescribe that romantic love entails some sort of escalator and platonic love
Does not. Or
doesn't.
yeah. Well, I was about to say about my best friend and I. We've been best friends for like, well, friends, best friends, whatever, for 20 years, right? There has been periods a long time when we haven't even talked to each other. Like when I was like moving everywhere and she was like here in Florida, long periods of times where no connection. But when we were talking, it's like nothing. It's like we're starting off where we left off, like just continuing. And
Oh,
no bitching about why haven't you called me? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you email me? Why didn't you send me a letter? It's just, oh my God, what's going on?
yeah,
And it just continues. No
yeah.
bitching, no nothing, no heartache, no drama just because you didn't call. Hello, I think we're adults and shit happens and life continues.
We have life, right?
We have life.
Similarly, my best friend and I, we've been best friends for almost 22 years now. And she went off to school in Iowa to get her master's. That was a long time away from one another. And it hurt. And I missed her terribly because we were used to seeing each other all the time. We used to talk all the time. And we would go weeks without talking. But the moment we did, it was as if we never stopped talking.
Exactly, yeah.
And I flew to her graduation and I was in the audience for her graduation. And to this day, months may go by without us seeing each other, but when we see each other, I'm gonna cry. I'm emotional today, y'all. Um,
It's okay. We're holding
the
space.
same amount of love, you know what I'm saying? And it's the hugs
Doesn't
and it's another
diminish.
thing that we critique, no? Affection in a platonic relationship, like hugs or hand holding or snuggles in a
Hugs,
platonic
right?
relationship is seen as weird. And if
Right.
you have a romantic relationship, you shouldn't be doing that with your friends because it'll give the wrong impression.
But that's the
Ooh,
thing.
you're sucio. That's your problem.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, when we were doing the breast cancer awareness walk, where people assume that like me and my best friend are dating or have dated or have slept or are liking each other. I'm like, nope, none of that. It's just their blood. They're my family. They're
Yeah,
my person. Like, I don't think I have to be sleeping with them in order for you to think that now it's appropriate for me to do all the hubby
right.
dubby stuff. Like, what? That has never
Absolutely.
made sense.
And having strong platonic relationships is so healing because we tend to teach each other in our friendships how we feel that that person should be treated by the romantic relationships, by the family who they're trying to break patterns with. We end up sometimes learning it from our friends because they may have los detalles, the details, and the little gifts or the special moments and memories with us that we would like to experience with someone else. Now you know what you deserve, what it feels like, right?
What else
Trust
can
me,
you bring
you
in?
know the difference when you're not getting it.
What can else can you bring in the relationship, in the romantic relationship that I am not already getting in my platonic relationship?
Other than sex.
Right. Like, what else can you bring? What's this next step? And that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. Nothing's gonna compare to a platonic relationship. Like, you ain't bringing anything else into here. I don't want it.
but that's why we have so many different types of relationships, right? Because there's the friend that you really connect with over Nintendo, and there's the friend that you really connect with over music.
Right.
And the Nintendo guy could give three shits about music, and the music guy could give three shits about Nintendo, right? But they can be in the same room because they have you in common and they appreciate you, and like we can hang. But for the most part, it's like not every person is going to be the catch-all person, right?
Right.
There's somebody that might fill so many boxes, and that for me, that's Angie, my best friend Angie is like, oh, so many boxes. The box is not filled, right? Or would cross into romantic.
Right. Right. Of course.
But that's why we have so many different relationships. And because also you feel moments. And it's not because of using someone. It's like you know where your heart needs to connect at given moments, right? Like when you're going through it. Do you have a friend that you reach out to when you're going through it? Family problems?
Yeah, my best friend.
Your best friend. Now, if it's like I'm trying to think, but I know that you talk to her about all the things.
I talked to Jolanta about everything. She's
Yeah,
the
I
only
talk
one
to
that
Ajay
goes
about
through.
everything. But even then it's like we know that sometimes it's like I may not be available, she may not be available because of work. So you have that friend that you know will hold the space and hold you in the way you need
Right.
when you're going to talk about family. But you know, if you call Pepita, Pepita's going to want a pachanga and you're not in the mood for pachanga, right?
Right. So we're not talking to
And
Pepita.
it doesn't say anything bad about Pepita. Pepita's
It's just
great. It
yeah.
was just not the moment. You needed this other kind of connection.
Right. And they
Yeah.
also need, some rest because I'm like, I know it could get heavy. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah, yeah. And it's perfectly normal and acceptable for someone to say, I can't, I do not have the bandwidth for this right now.
Right. Just little vents here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this is why I keep my circle small. Like, I don't think anybody has the right to hear me vent about my daily life or anything. So I don't know. I just don't talk to many people. Just a couple in the circle.
I have I have many friends that I love dearly, but like my close ones that like I water,
Yeah, your inner circle.
yeah, few. Few.
You could count. I could count them with my fingers. Well.
Like right now, a platonic relationship that's very meaningful to me. And we do not talk all the time. We don't really see each other because she moved away a year and a half ago. And she's in the same state right now. We've gotten to spend some time together, and it's been so beautiful to be able to like have her in the same space again and like share and hang out and like have lunch. Um, you forget what it's like to have the person present, but how special that even though she's been gone for an entire year and a half, we've been able to maintain connecting through Marco
Right.
Polo or Zoom or whatever. And then when we see each other, it's like, it's real, you're real.
Right. Like you're excited to see them and want to spend time with them instead of obstinada and be like,
Yeah.
those are not the
I
friends
mean,
you want.
my best friend, so it's Angie and Andrea. We've known each other for 21 and 22 years, right? Respectively. There's times where Andrea understands it's just Angie Vanessa time. And then there's Andrea Angie time. And then there's times when it's the three of us time. Because even if there's nothing going on, your friends are entitled to have their own time without you having to be at every function.
Right. Exactly.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi,
You know what
Jackie.
I'm saying? So I don't know, and that's nice because if you were to say that to a partner, you know, drama's gonna ensue sometimes, depending on who the partner, like how it is.
Right. But I don't, well, obviously, depending on the partner, but I still don't understand that. It just drives me crazy that they cannot
It's
understand that.
understandable because you want time.
No, it is, pero, a la misma vez, and not always gonna be alone time. It's gonna be you and the friend and the partner time, you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, if they're not okay with it, they should tell you and be like, yeah, that's it.
Have you heard about friends like getting married? They're not
Like,
partners, like they're not romantically together. They're just friends,
oh
best
yeah, yeah,
friends,
yeah.
platonic relationships, and they go and they get married for the legal purposes, right? Financial purposes.
Mm-hmm.
There, I forgot where, I think it's in Britain. No, I forgot where it is. But there is these two women, best friends of like 30 something years, decided to get married and have their home together. They each have partners, like they have boyfriends, um, that they don't want to necessarily have homes with or share finances with because the person that they trust, the person that's their person, is their best friend,
That's cute.
right?
I
Like
can see
if
that.
she's like maybe eventually the boyfriend will move in or whatever, but they have kids too, and they're the moms.
So they okay. So but they're just platonic.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they're just platonic.
Mira eso,
So like
cute.
they made it work for them. They're like, we're not doing this. We're not gonna because they had also gotten into the whole they were single before that. They didn't have boyfriends before they had the kids either. So they're like, I don't like they weren't doing anything. I don't want to be alone. Finances are tough, having maintaining a household on your own is difficult, but two incomes is better than one.
Right.
So I actually made a pact with Angie. I'm like, Angie, if by the time we're almost 50, we're not married, let's just get married and we'll outsource for sex. We have
Mira,
our relationships, but like we have our home and we know that we're gonna take care of each other's behalf hands.
that's true. Hey, all best friends. Let's go get married, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody has to do that, but it goes to show that some people have recognized how important those platonic relationships are. And I personally don't think that there should be a difference in how you treat a platonic relationship versus a romantic. I don't think that the romantic one is automatically more important than your platonic one.
I
I
do
think
agree.
there's a difference in
Mm,
the dynamic,
right.
duh, but there's difference in dynamic between platonic relationships.
But I do agree with you that you should be friends with your romantic partner.
Oh,
I agree with that. You should be friends. Get to know them in a different aspect and then be like, okay, I am romantically or sexually or whatever attracted to you and then, see if it goes from there. Pero treat them like a friend as well and understand and then, as a partner, understand, all the aspects of that part.
yeah.
That's how I feel. Who's watching? Say hi.
Hello. Um, do you think, where do you stand on the whole time thing, right? Because, for example, I have my platonic relationship with Angie that's 22 years in the making, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, strong dynamic, strong communication skills. O sea, we finish each other's sentences. I don't have to say anything. And she's like, I understand. Okay, I got it. We'll make it happen. Right.
Hmm.
Um, and it's creepy because even long distance, like she'll know when something's happening, right? When I was going through the middle of my divorce, I hadn't talked to anyone, hadn't said anything yet. And she calls me, she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? What? Don't lie to me. What's going on? And she just knew.
Hmm.
Um, so that's 20 something years. This friend that I was just talking about, right? Cindy, that's just, I've known her 2 years. And it still feels very strong and important in my life because of the impact she's made in my life and how she's helped me to grow, how she's been a support, right?
Hmm.
So a year and a half versus 22 years, equally as important, right?
Hmm.
But there's a different set of entanglements with
Hmm.
Angie because I know her whole family. We've done holidays together, so it's different.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's necessarily more important or that I'm going to be like, sorry, Cindy, got to go to Angie's party if Cindy's in the hospital.
No, obviously. I mean, in that scenario, obviously, I will be like, Cindy, you're okay, go to Cindy.
Right.
But where you're getting at, I feel like I'm not saying that the 22 years more important, but I feel like depending on what the situation is, I will like choose the one that knows about it or has been there or is a
Right.
tradition or whatever. So it
I
just
mean, just because at a particular situation someone or something gets prioritized doesn't mean it's more important. It just means it
exactly
takes priority in that
right
situation.
at that moment at
I
that yeah.
feel.
I no, I agree with you too. I agree. I feel the same on that. I mean, I have friendships that are like what 7, 5, whatever. Like right now, you and I, 7 years, which on November 5th, 7 years. Just saying. We're making the mark. We're making the mark. Um, versus 20 years with Dulange. But if she's okay and she doesn't need me, and right now at this moment, you need me, and there's something that I could do for you, I'm gonna be right here. She's perfectly fine.
Right.
Pero si las dos están jodidas. well, let's all come together, and like we'll
Mm.
figure it out.
I
But yeah,
think
no, I
it was
agree.
really funny because I inherently have been like this all my life because my mother is like this. My mom, her best friend, they've been best friends for 50 plus years.
Holy crap.
And she was in the room the day I was born. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I saw how, and it wasn't just my mom, my whole family, they place a lot of emphasis and water their friendships. My tia Annie, her two best friends have been in her life since they were teenagers, and now they're in their late 50s. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Those are friendships that have lasted through petty fights and through heartbreak and through cheatings and through all the hello. Speaking of the, I was gonna say speaking of the devil, but you're not a devil.
That's my best friend. That's my best friend. Yeah.
um, where was I lost my choo choo?
Your Diani and her two best friends.
Oh yeah. So like in having that example of how like platonic relationships are important, my friends, I was always like that with them. Right? We'd have little friend dates and whatever. And it wasn't weird to me until I started hearing from people that it was weird.
Right. So social construct too. Mm.
So it's weird to be affectionate with your friend. It's weird to oh we're gonna go. I don't understand why that's weird.
I like friend dates with my best friend. Just
Yeah,
us
and it's not just friends.
two.
Like if you do like a scavenger hunt or something like cute for your friend,
I don't think that's
it's
weird.
no. But some people have.
You also have to
Again, if you want to be a sucio, that's on you.
you also have to, like you say, water your friendships and show them that you care and that they are meaningful to you and that you care for who they are and their likes and their wants and their things unconditionally, right? Because that's how it's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, so I've heard this thing going around that's very interesting. This concept. I want to hear what your take is. So a lot of people in the field of therapy
mm-hmm.
have discussed. I'm going to say just the facts. I'm not going to say my opinion yet. That adult relationships are not unconditional. The only real unconditional relationships in your life are the ones with your parents. They are the only ones who can feel a sort of unconditional love for you. But inherently, adult relationships are conditional because you each have your own set of values and patterns and attachment styles and behaviors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that and needs that must be met that you need to protect and set forth that would keep it from being unconditional.
Okay.
What do you think about that? And
I don't
please, anybody watching, feel free to also plug in your
know. I
opinion.
totally disagree with that. My dad is very conditional. Yo te hago eso, pero que tú me tienes que hacer esto. Y tú me tienes que y esto y esto. So I'm sorry, that does not apply here. I have more unconditional love from my friends than anybody out there. No, when it comes to my parents, it is conditional. No es así que te amo porque tú eres mi hija. No, yo te tuve, ahora tú tienes que hacer algo por mí.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I can understand the concept that adult relationships, and we know what I mean about relationships, platonic or romantic, aren't unconditional, right? That they have conditions. I can see where, how, and why. However, when I think of, and since we're talking about platonic relationships, when I think of my platonic relationships, it is unconditional because when you think of things that you've shared with people, right? Things that you might not inherently like about them, right? Like you may not like that they did something or said something,
Mm-hmm.
but you love them and you know that they're still on their journey, right? And so when they grow out of the caca phase, you can look back and say, like, oh, when you did this, it was shit.
Oh
right?
yeah.
But you're still there and it's been unconditional and you were beside them through that
Right.
growth, knowing that they were more than that moment.
Exactly. Hmm.
That to me is unconditional because in conditional situations, that's very easy to find nowadays because of this now scientific excuse that gives you permission to be conditional. I'm not saying that you have to be,
Right.
right? Unconditional or not, but like there's some things you shouldn't allow from people because you teach them how to treat you.
Right. Right.
That is true. And
That
sometimes we
is
teach people really bad fucking habits. But at the same time, people need room and opportunity to grow. We become really impatient.
true. Oh yeah.
Like we talked about it, I think last episode or the episode, people don't fix things, don't try to fix things anymore.
Yeah, they just want something new
They
because
just
it's
buy a new
easy.
one,
Exactly.
order a different one,
Yep.
right? Which is really sad because you then don't get the opportunity to see where this other thing could have gone, what you could have learned from having that bump in the road. You
And
could be potentially missing out on a really incredible person because you shut the fuck down over one moment.
but also in the opposite of that, you can be there for the person and through every single bump, but at the end of the day, it's not even you, it's the
How
other
many bumps is too
person.
many bumps?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That exactly just that. So
I love Chubi's face. Chubi's talking without talking.
ajá, porque ya tú sabes. But tell me, tell me it's not true. Because you been
Yeah.
there and you're trying to fix it, but it's like the other person is just like, well, it's my way or the highway and I don't like it this way, so that's it. Like, but you're trying, but the other person is just like, that's it. I don't
Oh,
know. I don't
yes,
know.
yes, 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 yes. And it's interesting because you are more likely to take, or I've seen, people are more likely to take, we are more likely to take that shit from a romantic relationship, right? Than a platonic one. But it depends on what the dynamic in that platonic relationship is. Because then you might take a whole lot of crap,
Oh.
right? Because it's been this many years and da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if it's a newer
Been
platonic
there, done
relationship.
that, not
But you're
going
more
back.
willing to take it from a romantic relationship because of that societal construct of goal is get married. So
Right.
you have to learn. And yeah, they say compromise or whatever. But what is the joke that always gets said, right? Uh, Men say, all I say is, yes, honey.
Yeah.
How's that? Like, I know it's funny. Let's face it, some stereotypes are based on truth, y'all. We can't
No,
be
right.
so hypersensitive and butthurt about every damn thing. Because the fact is that, yes, sometimes women, we do go off, and the easiest thing is just to say, yes, honey. But how sad that that is like the consistent joke about a marriage and how one gets by in a marriage.
Right. Like, I don't think that's where's the love and understanding and actually.
Or for women to be taught that in order to get what you need or want from a man, you've got to make them think that the idea was theirs and then they're gonna, ay, caballero, that's too much brain work. Can we just talk?
And be honest with each other and say what you
For
want
real.
and what not you want. I mean, just share, communicate. How hard it is, very hard apparently.
What a concept. What a concept.
Anybody watching out there, how long have you been your friendships?
What,
How
yeah, what is your longest friendship? And What has been your most recent friendship, but that it feels like it's a friendship of like 20 something years? That's how I feel with Dana. I haven't known Dana that
Ah,
long.
I love Dana. Oh my
But
god.
when I first met Dana, within a week of working with her, I was like, I knew this bitch in a past life. I have to. I have to have known her because,
She's a trip.
yeah,
Um,
because it was too automatic, like, cling.
I'm thinking. But also this is another thing that just because you know someone for 7 years or 10 years doesn't mean you actually know them. You know of them.
Yeah.
The acquaintances, what people would like to call them.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I've seen people like around the hallway at work forever.
you don't know them.
I don't know them. I don't know you like that.
There might be a like a vibe of like, oh, they're cool, but you don't know them. Yeah, because I know
And
a lot. I have a lot of friends, and I put that in quotation marks. But to me, a friend is somebody who knows my last name. If you don't know my last name, I don't think you're a friend. I'm
so,
sorry, but that's important to me.
yeah, but of course.
Just
But
like
there's
when I learned your
also,
last name, I was like, what?
there are people who don't feel that friendships, that any relationship, because I've heard it said about any relationship, but specifically friends, don't feel that it's their responsibility in some way to stand by someone when they see them being not their best self and say, hey, and call them on their shit. Hey, you were incredibly rude to so and so.
Right.
You're not their mama. You know what I
Right,
mean?
but
But there's somebody that you love and that just showed the uglier part of themselves. Just like, are you okay? Are you going through something? Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I'm
right,
good. Why? Because you just talk super nasty to fulanito. You want the person that you care about, that you know to be a spectacular human being who you have this beautiful connection with. You want them to be seen as that,
right, to
not
be a
as the
better
caca
person.
person, right? 11 years with my best friend and the newest friend about 2 years. Oh, wow. There's these.
Bless you.
Um, so they won't tell them, hey, be better, because they say it's not their place, they're not their mom.
But it's
I
not
feel
about
like you can tell your friends, hey, not your best moment. Or like if they say, oh, I really want to not be a doormat anymore, right? There's only so much you can. This, Angie's like this with me. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, you feel that way. Like she'll listen to me, she'll let me vent about it. But by the fourth time I say the same thing in a different conversation, that I'm like, I don't want to be a doormat anymore, then stop being a fucking doormat, Vanessa.
I mean, that applies with everything, but yes. I
I mean,
feel like
you've done this to me too, right? And it and some people might say it's tough love, it's too rough. Again, I say we have become a society that gets way too easily butthurt about things. When somebody that you've known for years and you know them to have the best intentions and love for you, why at that moment are they going to choose to send you to hell? No,
no,
they're telling you if you want something different, then do it. Because in hearing you talk and be in pain every time, they're seeing somebody they love in pain. So they're being a good friend to you by saying, suck it up and do better. Every time Angie has like, and then she always ends it with, I love you. You know, I love you. But then stop being a doormat.
I mean, if you're able
What
to
are we going to
change
do to
it,
not be that?
right. If you're able to change it, do it. We're talking about platonic relationships, and we all have them, and the social construct of it, and how it should be and how it shouldn't be.
I wanted to, before we get to final thoughts, we were saying about how in platonic relationships, you tell them, act better. In romantic relationships, one would hope one helps that, right?
I hope so. I hope my partner will be like, or vice versa. Hey, you guys are not, you're not doing, you weren't behaving your
Hi,
best.
mommy.
Hi. So yeah, no, I always tell my best friend. Actually, I tell everybody. I don't care if we just met yesterday. I'm like, you were not behaving very well. I mean, and I expect the same in return. So yes, with
I mean,
anybody.
Have you ever been, it's not really a critique. I think people ask out of confusion
Right.
or because it's not the norm. One time I went up to a friend of mine's girlfriend and like hugged her really tight. And I was like, thank you so much for like loving my friend and treating him well. Why? Because my friend had been through a horrendous relationship that destroyed him. And this person was gentle with him and kind and patient and understood his like weird shit, from his past relationship that he was still dealing with until he was over it. Right. And now they're married and happy and beautiful. You know what I mean? I was grateful for that because it's someone that I care about. And I wanted her to know that she was like seen and appreciated for it. Somebody gave me so much shit. Why? What do you say that? Do you want her man?
I was gonna ask you, how did she react?
She was touched. Well, she knows. You see, when somebody isn't insecure about their shit,
Mm-hmm.
and when you show your true intentions from the get, I told her I'm very close. If there's anything that makes you uncomfortable, please tell me because I want to respect your relation. But
Right.
like, she knows how we are, how long we've been friends, and it's also false to the other person to the friend to say this person is meaningful to me and give you your place.
Right,
So
exactly.
he also did that. He gave me my place and my value. So she understood, right? But the fact is, you're friend of someone that I love and care about. I love and care about you too until I don't.
Right.
Until I don't. But I love and care about you too because this person who I admire and care for has seen something in you, right? So she understood. But clearly, that other person that would jump down my throat would not have had the same reaction.
Right.
She be, she would have been like, "Do you want my man?"
Clearly not, but okay. And that's another point that you bring up about male friendships, like the opposite sex can be friends. And I'm like, why not? Why can't you be friends with a male partner, female, or whatever, or
My best friend Fernando,
or male,
straight
female?
cis man, zero sex, zero romance. He is just my friend and
And
one of the most special relationships in my life.
and I don't know why people think that you have to be having sex with the person in order for them to be that some value in your life.
Agreed.
Like I don't understand that.
Why it's so unfathomable that a man and a woman can be friends.
Right, like that's I don't get that. I don't get it.
My ex-husband's best friend was a woman, and everybody did not. What do you mean that they're hanging out alone? And that because that's his best fucking friend, and because I'm hanging out with mine, I hope you
Right.
hung all the time.
Like why is so wrong about that? Because of social construct, society tells you
It
that
is a
that is
social
wrong.
construct, and how sad, right? We made the whole thing about we talked about it like 2 episodes ago. It's like why is a man's nipple not sexualized the way a woman's nipple is sexualized, but you're feeding your child,
Right.
right? Same. And I know it was a very far fetched example, but it's the same
The
thing.
same.
Why, if a woman and a man are friends and they're affectionate, like they hug, they hold hands, right? Or say, hey, right? Angie and I call ourselves babe. I've never, you know what I'm saying? And it's out of cariño. I'm
Right. It's not out
not
of
trying to get on his
romantic.
hands.
Right.
I just think it's really unfortunate that unless we put something seedy or something sexual to a relationship that is too close, right? Then it's
Just
not, then it doesn't make sense. It's
just like
weird.
that stigma with two men that they can be friends like that, close like that because it's looked wrong or whatever. I'm like, why? How?
Yeah.
Like again, social
And,
construct.
you know, I, we've talked about partnerships before, right? So my podcast partner, but in life, you're also my friend,
Right.
right? But friendships, platonic relationships are partnerships, right? And
Right.
all the dynamics are different, the same way that romantic dynamics can be different, right? Whether monogamous or non-monogamous. So I don't understand why people thinks that de repente tienes novio o novia o novios y novias o
Mhm.
novie and your friends become obsolete.
Oh yeah. Like you
Or
have to
when, ooh, 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 when partners say that you can't have a friend.
then bye. You could go on your merry little
Disculpe,
way.
disculpe me. What you say?
Yeah, no, that partner would not be.
Let
Mm-mm.
somebody tell me that I can't be friends with Angie anymore. Watch how
There,
quickly they're not in my life.
right? Because I'm like, why can't I be still have my friendships with my best friend of a certain amount of years, or hang out with this friend I just met 2 days
Yeah,
ago? What?
what made you suddenly more important than
I know. What the fuck are you?
the person who's been there for me through thick and thin?
That's why I always say my best friends, my closest friends, my close circle, they come before anybody.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
my
family.
friends are
Yeah.
incredibly important to me. Incredibly important to me. And like we were talking about being also friends with your partners, being friends with my partner is very important to me. I gotta like you, not just love you.
Right. Exactly.
You can love somebody and not like them.
Trust me, I know that feeling. I'm like, you're a shit person, but I love being romantic with you. But you're a shit person.
Yeah,
Like your friendship, you're a shit friend. Like the person
a
you are,
thousand percent.
and like you always say, they could coexist. And we always say that you could be a great.
Multiple feelings and multiple thoughts can exist in the same space. It is
Some people,
conflicting, it is frustrating, but it's real.
some people could be a great friend, but they're a shitty partner. They could be, I don't know, everything else, but they could just be shitty at everything else too. Let me
Yeah.
see what Vanessa says.
Oh,
Uh, it says, in my experience, not being able to have certain friends because of insecurity is so draining. Glad I'm out of that situation, truly. So
yeah.
I strongly believe and encourage platonic relationship or just being able to have the friend you choose.
Amen. Oh,
Oh, what your mama said.
my mama says Luis Enrique has been my best friend. Luis Enrique is someone I've known since before I was born. Well, I didn't know him before I was born, obviously.
I get it.
Uh, since college, and even after living in different countries, we love each other, and our partners have understood, and our partners have understood we are forever best friends without jealousies. But again, I say it's also like it falls to the responsibility of you to give people in your life their
Hmm.
place, right?
Right.
So my mom always told her partners who Luis Enrique was and what he meant to her, right? And let them know each other. And similarly, Luis Enrique, when he got married, explained who my mother was and what she meant to him, who I was, what I meant to him. So there was never the confusion or that insecurity or whatever.
Right.
Personally, I would like to invite everyone in a romantic relationship to see your partner's platonic relationship or partner's platonic relationships as an asset to your own relationship.
Hmm.
After I spend time with my friends, I'm a whole hell of a lot nicer. I'm in a different mood.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, it's a different energy. You don't share the same energy with your partners that you do with your friends. And you need that sometimes. If you're in the same pool, you're not, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? How will you learn that you like anything new or different and then be able to
Exactly.
share it, right? It's not like you're getting rid of the one to have the other. You now have something new to share. Hi, Cindy. This is this is not the Cindy I was talking about before. This is another Cindy that I love
Oh,
very
well,
much.
see, I thought it was that Cindy. Well, everybody, welcome.
Yeah, that's crazy. My girl went on a weekend trip with her friends every year, and I was happy that she was having fun with her friends. Never crossed my mind that she would cheat or cross her mind that Jay would cheat. Not once in 8 years. Because why?
Exactly. I mean, you know what you have.
Honestly, those kinds of jealousies, and I learned this the hard way. Because you learn to ask yourself the hard questions. Those kinds of jealousy says more about your own insecurities than about what your partner is doing.
Yeah.
And everybody who's like, well, that means that they're out there getting what they couldn't get. That's not what that means.
No.
It could also mean that y'all just need to talk. You know what I mean? But like,
Right. Lay it
no,
out on the table. See what's
a
what's
lot,
going
a lot,
on.
a lot of assumptions are made unnecessarily.
It's not needed. Just talk, like we always say, talking se entiende la gente. Hablando.
Agree. Chuve, final thoughts and a message to your, and they'll know who they are, to your platonic relationships. I expect tears because I plan on crying. I'm gonna.
um, water those relationships that are important to you. They're much needed. Remember who was there crying when you were crying at 4 in the morning, or when you were puking your life away on a plant? Who was there? They were there. And not every platonic relationship may not have lasted, because unfortunately some had to end. But the ones that are still here are for a reason. Water that. Water everybody and be honest with yourself. Is this a person you truly want in your life?
Amen.
Is this a person that you want to continue to share memories with? Is this a person that makes you happy? Or, do you make them happy? Like, talk, just be honest. But don't think that you need to be there because you have to. It's because you want to. And to all
Message to
my
your platonic relationships.
I know I was about to cry. I'm like, no, don't cry. To my platonic relationships. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry for real. No, no. Thank you for being there and for always listening to me. Oh, I'm about to cry. I know it's tough sometimes, but hey, you guys have always listened to me through thick and thin, and I always been there. You've been there. I've shared, and all the crying and all the laughter and all the stuff. It's just thank you for existing, coming into my life. That's it.
I'm already crying.
I know. I'm like,
I, as my voice cracks. Final thought. Um, it is a social construct that somehow romantic relationships are more important than platonic relationships. Um, I'll say it at once and I'll say it again. Platonic relationships in my life have saved me. My romantic ones have shaken my whole world. Um, Watering platonic relationships is important because it also teaches you gratitude. Because there's nothing like somebody understanding you and being there for you no matter what, even if they don't get it, even if, they got a party they want to get to, that they take the time for you. Water those relationships and be grateful for them. We learn so much. We learn what we deserve. We learn um, new hobbies and likes and things from sharing with those relationships, um, and giving them the opportunity that they deserve to flourish, right? And do not be afraid to call your people out on their shit. To like, don't tell them what to do. And if they do the opposite, you can't get mad at them. It's their life to live.
right.
But it is kind of your responsibility to call them out on their stuff. You know what I mean? Because you want them to be better. You want the world to see the beautiful things that you see, right? So if you see them like, hey, this person is a wonderful thing in your life, treat them better, pay more attention. That's that's a good thing. Partners of people, like, love your friends because they give them a happiness that you won't be able to. You won't be able to. It's not that you can try, you won't. It's a completely different thing, and that's fine and it's beautiful because then they can share with you that story and you can see the joy in the person you love's face. I just hung out with my best friend and we came up with a new handshake. Jiggy, jiggy, jiggy. Those things are exciting. Message to my platonic loves. Oh, God. Thank you for making me a better person and putting up with my shit because I can be a little crazy, always emotional and crying. Um, my life would be very different if I didn't have my my Angies and my Andreas and my Chubies and my Cindy's and my Yesenias. More people are saying I'm such a crybaby today.
That's perfectly fine.
Uh, Shoot, one time my ex suddenly reached out to me and told my girl everything, and I had nothing to hide.
That's
But that's another thing. It's okay to be friends with your ex. I'm friends with my ex-husband. They were your friends before they were your lovers, or at least I hope so.
right. I mean, unless you don't want to be friends with your
Unless
ex,
you don't
which is
want to, unless
perfectly
it were a
fine.
total shit show. But like, if there's an opportunity to salvage something, dale.
There's nothing
Bone
wrong
and
with
I have been best friends for 45 years. Mom, you took like 5 years off of your friendship por querer hacerte más joven. The best platonic relationship. Absolutely. I was talking about Bone at the beginning of the show. Oh, that's it. I'm done crying now.
that. That's it.
Next episode, World Vegan Day.
Yes, we're gonna talk about food.
Oh,
Well,
we go
about
from
being
platonic
vegan.
relationships to food. Another very good relationship.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's a very tough one.
Find
But
your friends and hug them. Tell them you love them. Normalize
yes,
telling your friends that you love them.
it
Hugging
is
them.
okay to
Going on date
say
with them.
it is okay to tell your friends you
Yeah.
love them. Don't let society tell you it's wrong to show affection and love and that you care.
Yep.
There is nothing wrong with that.
1,050%.
And with that being
If
said,
it's a social construct or a different society constructed differently.
exactly, tear that shit down. But like we always say, stay fearless, everyone.
Stay fearless, fam.